Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
No, my name is Mike Piwowarski. I am the co-host. I am the co-host from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most. The host with the most from the coast with the most. There we go. Here on The Rundown, we're bringing you 2A views and conservative news, or 2A news and conservative views. You could switch those around interchangeably also. And I am here with Craig. It's great to be here with you, sir.
Always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure. How is your day going today?
Woo, long day. Just got back in from regular work. Get all sweaty, and it's a good thing there's no smell-o-vision here, right?
You have no idea how many times I say that when we get ready to go on live. I'm like, it's a good thing we're not, we don't have smell-o-vision up in here.
Yep, there we go.
Anyway, it's been an interesting day, been an interesting weekend. Everything that's been going on with, in the news lately, it's been, it has been an onslaught on conservatives, shall we say.
Yes, it has been. But there's also alligator updates.
There is also an alligator update, and tell you what, why don't we get into the alligator update real quick? Because as you all know, Mike has shared with me breaking news last week that alligators can in fact climb fences, which, by the way, scared. Yeah, I'm just so you know, you may have ruined the opportunity for me to move to Florida with my wife. With that one, she's like, they can do what? So Mike shared with me this story.
Yeah, it's one of those things about Florida that people in Florida know, but people everywhere else don't know. Like Craig, have you ever had astronaut food? Like the astronaut ice cream and all that. You ever had any of that stuff?
Yes.
Okay, well, people in Florida, they have it all the time. It's like it's.
I only had it in Florida.
Well, because astronaut food. Oh yeah, well, you had it in Florida. Okay, there you go. See, so everybody's like, man, we're gonna do something special. We're gonna send you astronaut food. I'm like, it's on the shelf. Don't worry about it. But it's the same thing with gators. All right, I showed you last week. They were climbing the fences at schools. I think gators know school's let out next week, Craig, and they're gonna have to go all summer without any snacks. So they're actually over the fence now, inside the school grounds, laying against the school door.
Yes, this alligator was blocking the school door. Once again, climbed over the fence.
Yep.
Right? As we saw videos last week, multiple gators climbing fence up to I climbed a 6-foot fence.
Yeah.
No bueno. No bueno. That is not that does not make me feel good about moving to Florida, just so you know. Or I have a gun, so I'm okay. My wife is like, I'd rather not have to shoot it, so I'd rather just not move there.
Well, and I think this is why this is how it all comes back around, right? How we tie it together. Remember, Florida does not have open carry. Florida does not have campus carry. All right, put enough alligators laying up against doorways in schools at the elementary school. I think we'll be arming teachers, no problem. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I will say this, though. We do have one thing. We do have a couple of things in comparison, because out here, depending on where you live, you might have to deal with mountain lions or you might have to deal with bears. Okay. Oh, lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Okay.
No lions. We ain't got lions. They're in Detroit.
You just said a mountain lion. Lion.
The lion. Okay, mountain lion. Okay, right.
What do you got? You got valley lions? They're like roar, dude. Like roar.
All right. Yes, you got me.
Gag me with a goat, dude. It's a valley lion.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. By the way, folks, do us a favor real quick. However you're watching us, please share. Encourage your friends to do the same. Watch us on YouTube, Facebook. You can watch us on Opsland. You can watch us on Spotify. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. But wherever you are partaking, please partake and encourage your friends to do the same.
Yeah, what he said.
All right.
Got a new sponsor coming on board with us this week, Craig, just so you know. New sponsor coming on board this week with us.
Really? Oh, we're going to have...
Yes.
Okay, so you want to hit that up and talk a little bit about it now?
No, I think we'll have him on later in the week, probably.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
Well, let's get into it. All right. I know if you've been following, there were actually three casualty events. Two of them mass casualty events, or at least one of them was a mass casualty event. But there were a number of people who were shot and injured. The main one that's getting all the publicity, Mike, is this one that took place there in Buffalo, in Buffalo, New York. An individual who was clearly a troubled young man mentally. A year before had actually had to undergo mental health counseling because of threats that he made about his graduation. This individual got himself a rifle and went into a community, went to a grocery store and shot the place up. And specifically, I think it's kind of obvious he was targeting black folks. As I'm sure you can assume, all of the accusations and media stuff is following this particular case.
Yeah, listen, still a lot of facts we don't know. Why? Because the news agencies withhold information. We know that they're trying to withhold certain things to drive a story a certain way. This is one they're trying to give legs to. 10 people lost their lives here. That's a tragedy, an absolute tragedy. Okay, let's be clear on that. Craig, they do all, from all accounts, they're all African American folks. But from what I'm hearing from people that live or have lived in Buffalo, this part of Buffalo, Craig, is not like, oh, you go to the store and it's 25% black and 75% white, and he picked and shot off just the black people. Evidently, the only people in this neighborhood, in this store, are African American folks. So, listen, if he went to that part of town to kill African American folks, that's just as wrong as picking them off. I get that. I'm just trying to point out the news is relaying the facts the way they want to relay them, rather than the way they should be laid out. And we're still trying to get more information. Still definitely trying to get more information. And I hope this guy, whoever he is, has a very long and painful rest of the life until they put him in front of a firing squad.
Well, really exactly. I mean, and once again, I don't think anyone is ignoring or anyone is against fact. Everyone recognizes this dude went to do this with bad intent, and race was a part of it. Now, one of the things that he said that he did was, during the lockdowns, I guess he had written a manifesto or something, and he was bored during lockdowns, and he went and he started reading stuff on 4chan, and then he started reading stuff about things like called replacement theory, which, Mike, now, I'm sorry, have you heard of any of this?
I mean, there was a movie in the late 90s called The Replacements, right?
Right, but that's not what this is.
That's not what this is about?
That's not what this is about.
That's not my favorite Keanu movie. That's my favorite Keanu movie. So I hope
so now you're blaming Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman.
Listen, you never know. You never know, right? It was but all seriousness, no, I've never heard of the replacement theory. Never, ever.
That's because it's something that the left. That's because it's something that the left has literally just made up. Now, mind you, well, let me clarify. So the thing that they're talking about here, Mike, is they're saying that there's this movement out there, and it's really popular on 4chan. I don't go to 4chan. I don't see a reason to. But anyway, it's this belief that there are systems or people out there that basically they're trying to replace white people with people of color. And that we as a country, they are saying, I'm not saying this, we need to fight back and yada, yada, yada. And so they're saying that this guy it's basically a racist theory. It's about white supremacy, white nationalism, yada, yada, yada. Now, what's happening is you have places like Rolling Stone, right? And I'll bring up the article here. You have Rolling Stone, who is now saying that this is mainstream Republican theory, right? That he's not a lone wolf, but he's actually a mainstream Republican. He's talking about quote unquote right-wing extremists who control the modern GOP are gripped with racist delusion. Now, Mike, you and I both know that here's really what it is. Now, what they do is they're comparing they're talking about people like Tucker Carlson is probably the most common example of people that are talking about who say they say promote this. But now I watch Tucker Carlson pretty regularly, and I know people who watch Tucker Carlson every day. They watch the entire show. And Tucker Carlson doesn't talk about any of this. What he does point to is that how there is this concerted movement to remove or change or get rid of the values upon which our society has been based and has made us a strong nation from the very beginning. For things like individual rights, individual responsibility, free market, right, free enterprise, the individualism, the right, the importance of the individual. These are all concepts that have largely been part of Western culture, specifically American culture, but in general, Western culture, not necessarily white culture. Now, here's where race comes into it, Mike, is that when you start reading things from anti-racists and critical race theory, they take things like individualism and free enterprise and yada, 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 and to them, that's all white supremacy.
Right.
So they draw the line. They say, well, things like being on time and being organized and being an entrepreneur and all that, well, that's all white supremacy. That's all part of white nationalism. And because you don't want that to be gotten rid of, then you must be afraid that we're going to replace white nationalism with this new wokeness. Well, they don't call it new wokeness, but I'm going to call it the new wokeness. And therefore, you are concerned that white people are going to be replaced with people of color, with black people. And that's how they make the leap.
I've never heard replacement theory ever before, ever. And listen, I don't even know how to find what is that, 4chan.com. I wouldn't even know how to get there. And I don't spend my time on the fringes, either the left or the right, or the middle. I just spend right in the center of the right. That's where I like to sit. However, I think I would have heard about this replacement theory thing, and I'm still trying to wrap my fingers around what exactly this is. Craig, listening to your explanation, we should be we should be replaced. I mean, me being the white dude in the room, because I wear a suit to a job interview and show up on time. Is that it? This doesn't sound like a replacement theory. This sounds like I want an excuse to be a lazy piece of crap is what it sounds like. It sounds like what we're seeing as a reflection of the last generation and a half. It sounds like what they got to do in expanded numbers during COVID. Look, I don't want to wear a suit to work, but now I get to sit at home in my underwear and work half the day and still get paid for it. This is there a cause to this replacement theory? Sure, I could see COVID flowing right into it. This is the lazy saying they want to be lazier. That's what needs to go. If you don't want to work hard and be the smartest person in the room, or the best dressed person in the room, or the earliest person in the room, then perhaps you should really look at swimming south over the river.
Well, so I was reading this article in Rolling Stone, and it's saying that it's based on an idea from this 2012 book by some French author. What's his name? Oh. Renaud Camas. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, so wait, we're going to start listening to the French. Really? Name one conservative that's going to start listening to the French. And once again, this was the guy who wrote this book, who was concerned about in France, whites eventually being the minority. Now, mind you, what is taking place in France, in many parts of the EU and in Europe, is basically a de-Eurification of Europe. Yes. They have opened their doors to a lot of immigration, and what has happened, and as what tends to happen, is happening more and more in other places. Is it used to be a time, for example, when you migrate to the United States, you come here to be an American, but in many times or many instances now, you have people who are coming to the United States who are trying to be wherever they're from in America. And the same thing they noticed was happening in France. People were coming from various different countries, and they weren't interested in being French. They were interested in being wherever they were from in France and instituting what it was like in that country there in France. Well, Mike, I think you and I can agree, for example, coming to America to make Mexico like America is not a very good idea, because guess what? It ain't being like Mexico's not working out too well for Mexico. That's why they're here.
No. But when it comes to making Tex-Mex food, I'm all for it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, no, no. There is
little combination of the
the
food culture.
best thing about America is to being able to take the best thing about multiple different cultures and make them part of the American culture. But just because you take the best things or good things from every culture doesn't mean that you have to take the bad things, right?
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't mean that, for example, as is rampant in many South American countries, political corruption doesn't need to be a thing here. Just because it is there does not mean it needs to be a thing here, right? Sharia law, just because it's a thing where you're from, doesn't mean it needs to be a thing here, right? We don't need a theocracy.
Listen, you know how I feel about it. The sports world got together a few years back, and they looked at the best things about American baseball, and then they looked at the best things about English cricket, and they wanted to try and combine the audiences. So they took the best of both and came up with this thing called American baseball. So.
Exactly. Problem solved. Problem solved.
Yep, there you go. There you go.
But folks,
Throw that
here's the
European
deal, man.
crap away.
But here's the thing. Everyone's going to try and point to, and here's the worst part, because you've even got, and this will get on to this, once again, we're talking about this replacement theory. You've even got some Republicans, and I even hate to call some of these folks Republicans, but you've got some folks like Kinzinger reporting. Now, this is the number 3 in the House GOP, right? She is warning replacement theory is getting people killed, right? So in other words, even now you have Republicans who are saying, oh, well, we need to stop this stuff because now all of a sudden we're going to see, I'm sorry, we're talking about Adam Kinzinger, who's one of the,
yeah. Can I make a point? Make a point though. Adam
yes,
Kinzinger,
please
an
do.
Illinois Republican. Okay.
Right.
That's like saying a Southern moderate. Okay.
Right. Well, he's a Liz Cheney Republican.
Yeah.
Okay. So he is a Republican. He, like Liz Cheney, they are making their bones by being anti-Republican, by being anti-conservative. Yes. So no, they are people who probably are like they hate Republicans because, well, they hate Republicans and they're using that to try and make their bones. But even they're like, oh, well, this great replacement theory, and it's all right wing and it's all conservatives, and they're doing it as a way in which to badmouth conservatives. But even they are trying to latch onto this thing. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. By the way, if you didn't see it, it was the movie Replacements. It was in 2000. That's when it came out. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. But the replacement theory, Craig, I got a great replacement theory. I want to replace all members of Congress. I would like this to Congress to be what it was originally meant to be. It was never meant to be a political career forever. It was meant to go serve, I don't know, 2 terms, 3 terms, maybe at the most. So you were a recognized member of your community. The rest of your community wanted to go up there. We took care of your farm or whatever while you were gone. Then we switch out after 2 years or after 4 years, whatever it is. Let's replace them. How come we have term limits in every state and pretty much every city except in the federal Congress? Why is that?
Here's what I will tell you about term limits. And first of all, I believe that we have a thing called term limits, and it's called an election. You can vote people out. The problem I've seen, and this is what I've seen, if you're going to have term limits, and I think we've talked about this, it has to be a long enough period of time where they can actually learn what they're doing and get good at it. No, because I'm telling you right now, it's destroyed California. I will tell you right now, California is worse off for having passed term limits. I can tell you right now,
California is worse off for having its style of politics, not the term limits.
No, term limits played a huge role in the style of politics and the quality of, in particular, the quality of Republican electeds that we've had. We've had some of the worst elected Republicans of any state in the nation, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that you don't really. You have people who come in who are decent people, but it takes them so long. I mean, give you an example. 6 years in the assembly. The first term, you're figuring out where the bathrooms are. The second term, you might actually get some stuff done. By your third term, you're now termed out. I mean, you're now basically a lame duck. And the other thing that wound up doing was the people who were the experienced staffers, the people who knew and understood how to do things and had a background in policy, they all left because there was absolutely no job security. There was no one who, so there was nobody who knew how to do things or knew what was going on. It has been a complete, utter hot mess.
By your own admission, you're saying term limits are elections. Well, if you bring somebody in the first 2 years, they don't know where the bathroom is. You elect them out then. You don't wait 6 years. All right. And you didn't bring
once
in
again,
Republicans
if you don't know what you're doing, it's kind of funny to me because I'm telling you right now, I've seen it in action. All I'm saying is if you're going to have term limits, it can't just be like 6 years. All right. Minimum 8 years. Give people 2 terms in the Senate, 4 terms or 4 2-year terms in the lower house.
No, then you have career politicians, and that's
not career. 8 years is not career.
Yeah, well, where does the senator start off first, Craig?
Well, no. You make it 8 years total. I'm talking. It doesn't matter which house. 8 years total. I'm just saying 8 years total. Doesn't have to be. I'm just saying total. It doesn't have to be. 8 in one and 8 in the other. I'm just saying
we don't have an independent House and Senate right now. We have a royal families up there is what we have. So that's
well, that I agree on. I agree. 20, 30 years is far too long.
Right.
But I'm just telling you, enough time to at least get some experience, have a few terms, a few years where you can actually get some meat and potatoes done. Right.
Did you just
and then move along?
When you decided you wanted to be to go into video work and the news broadcasting, did you show up the first day with no clue what to do, or did you do a little research and maybe interned and worked in the field for a little while?
Yeah, I did a little research, but I promise you, even in year 2, I was not nearly as good at what I was doing as I was in year 4 and year 6.
Sure. And now you know the dirty tricks, right?
Right.
Now you know
right.
how to cut tape on the back and make it look like we were live, but we weren't.
Yes, exactly. But that takes time to learn.
We don't want them to learn that. I want them to go up there with
right. But you want them to at least learn how to do the job, right? To do the job well, right?
Here's the job.
Not the shortcuts, but you want them to learn to do the job right.
Here's the job. Read what that guy gives me and listen to what that guy tells me, and then I say yes or no. That's the job.
No, my God, you know what? If you honestly think it is that easy or that simple, no. I will just tell you right now. I spent 10 years working in the legislature, in a legislative body, dealing with public policy. It is not that easy. It really just isn't.
They've made it difficult. And California has made it too difficult. They've made it difficult to make it difficult.
Well, all I know is what I've seen, and
in California,
is what I've seen. I'm telling you right now, I'm not a fan of short-term term limits.
Right. And you thought you knew everything until I showed you alligators climbing fences in Florida. So, bam. Next topic.
Well, you know what? Honestly, California legislature scares me more than alligators climbing fences.
How about them laying up against the school?
Laying up against the school.
Yeah.
Oh, how about sensible gun control? How many of you now? How long did you think it was going to take before we were going to hear about this one?
Oh, I'm surprised that the shooter didn't say it. Yeah, at this point, yeah.
That's right. The president is actually being pushed right now, and here's the article. Time Magazine. You knew they were going to say it. Time Magazine. Buffalo adds pressure to Joe Biden to push for gun control measures. Now, the interesting thing, Mike, about this one is that I don't recall any of the gun control measures that have ever been proposed had anything to do with or mentioned anything about being a racist. Like, we're going to ban racists from owning guns. We're going to do a background check to see if you're racist.
I'll give you an instance of why this is crap and why this doesn't work. Right now. Buffalo had a story. I always remember this story. It's 4 or 5 years old. When you die in Buffalo, they always say you shuffle off to Buffalo, but when you're actually in Buffalo and you die and you're a resident of Buffalo, the police department goes through the obituaries and they compare the names in the obituaries to those that have firearms licensed to them in their home. And when they see that, they wait a day or two, and then they go to the home and say, hello, we'd like to talk to Johnny. And they go, oh, Johnny's dead. And they go, well, Johnny's got 5 guns registered to him. Since he's dead, we'd like to take them now because we don't want those guns wandering the street by themselves. So that's a great gun policy in DC, in Buffalo. They go and take guns away from recently deceased, whether or not they're giving them to family members, they're in the will or not. But Buffalo's decided to take firearms based on people dying in obituaries from their families to protect themselves. So guess what? There's another sensible gun control policy that clearly protected these people in the Buffalo store in Tops there, because the cops came around ahead of time and took guns from their dead relatives.
Right. Now, mind you, the state of New York is not amongst the worst when it comes to gun control. It's bad. It's in the lower half, if not the lower third, but it's not as bad as the city of New York. But yet and still, many of the things that they have in place didn't keep the shooting from happening there in New York, did it?
Yeah. And let's be, for those of you that don't know the area, saying you're from Buffalo, New York, and saying you're from New York City is like saying, I'm from Minnesota. It's the same. It's Buffalo just happens to be in the same state as the rest of New York. It's no more New York City than Minnesota is.
Exactly. So hey,
when it comes to laws, when it comes to the gun laws,
when it comes to laws. So the interesting thing is this, and I think we talked about this, when you start getting into this concept or talking about the replacement theory, their whole point is that they want to basically point to Republicans, point to conservatives, and say they are violent and they are racist, and they are the worst thing about this country. Which leads me into our parting shot. Which for those of you who are just listening to the show, here you have, it says, it's Joe Biden saying that MAGA is the most extreme political group in recent history. And on one side, you have the BLM, Antifa, and the Democratic Party saying, support late-term abortion, defund police, and open borders. And they've got, pipes and Molotov cocktails and burning flags and torches, right? And then the MAGA folks he's pointing to, they have signs that say school choice, no critical race theory, support parents' rights, secure our borders, support the police, lower taxes, free speech, support free speech. And the MAGA folks or the Republicans are the extremists. And
crazy,
anyway,
right?
But that's pretty much how they keep portraying it. And the very fact that, once again, when you look at what Politico said, the very fact that the Rolling Stone, I'm going to throw it up there one more time. This is what Rolling Stone is. If you are a conservative and you still pay attention, you still get this publication or read this publication, you need to be smacked upside the head, because this is not, this is about as lying and anti-American as you can possibly get. Anyway, just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
With that,
right,
sir, how about a quick shout out to our sponsors before we go?
Let's say hi to our good friends there at Guerrilla Machining, Grid Defense, and of course the fine folks at the California Republican Assembly. And coming soon, I'll tell you tomorrow.
All right, so we'll find out. New sponsor coming soon. We'll have a lot of fun. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. You guys have fun. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and encourage your friends to do the same.